Hey party people, Andrew here at SHOT 2023 with Todd from Oracle Arms. You've got some really fancy looking, kind of 1911-ish guns here that are not really 1911s. What are we calling them?
I would call them 2311, Oracle Arms 2311. Yeah, we put a lot of thought into these, and I'm a big 1911 guy, and I wanted to come up with something a little bit new for the market, try to improve upon that 1911 double stack pattern pistol. So some of the areas where I started that journey, first thing we do is select a good magazine, and 320 magazine. We find that that's one of the most reliable out there. U.S. Army has adopted it, so that was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to go with that magazine. So we made sure that this pistol will work with 320 magazines. We do offer our own, and it is exactly the same footprint as SIG 320 magazine.
Okay, so it is a 320 magazine made by you.
Yes, we have our own 320 magazines as well, but if you want to grab your SIG mag, it'll work with this as well. Our mags will work with SIG products as well.
Nice. So what other changes do we have here between this and, say, a 2011?
One of the biggest features we have is the first time on a 1911, we've brought in a ambi slide stop. So
sweet.
Yeah, so this way we can accommodate left-hand shooters and get it out there, do what you need to do.
That's pretty sweet. I'm sure wrong-handed shooters will appreciate that. You hear a lot of that. I'm sure the FUDs in the comments are going to just cringe for me constantly dropping it. These are show guns anyway, but
it's okay.
Internally, are we still in 1911? Are we still bouncing the hammer off that sear?
In some areas, yes. I've maintained that John Browning 1911 Series 70 fire control system. He had it right, and that's what, when anyone grabs a 1911, they want to feel that fire control hammer set, and that's what we stayed there. So if you want to change out if you have someone has a real specific manufacturer 1911 fire control, you can, with Gunsmithing modification, drop it in. We control and own all of our own fire control systems. You're going to get about on our combat models, average of a 3.5 pound trigger. And when we come out with competition, it's going to be about a 1.5 to 2 pound triggers.
This is really handsome. I love the color, this almost greenish gray.
Right on.
It's not quite the same tone that I've seen on a million other guns.
Yeah, we like this gray. It gives it a little bit of everything. Some of the features that I really want to drive into is on where we changed out the whole upper end. So if I may, one of the things for those 1911 guys, if you have to have like a barrel, you got your lug, you got your wrench, sometimes if it's really tight. Goal for me is I want to make sure that if I have to field service this firearm, because when we're designing this, it's really important to understand that we wanted to combine combat, reliability, and aggressiveness, and a competition race gun DNA, merge it into one pistol. All right. So if you have to field service your firearm, well, you don't want to have to dig around for a tool. So you want to make sure that you're nice, simple, and toolless. By simply popping off your slide stop, your left side slide stop, your whole entire upper is going to come off in your hand. And the days with 1911, we're having to worry about your parts going everywhere, are over with the 2311. One of the things that we really drive into is we went to a linkless design. All right, this recreates the link pattern of a 1911 barrel, but in a linkless setup.
A little bit more modern. So it's still obviously, like basically every pistol made nowadays is still a tilting Browning design.
Yes.
But that's a much more modern take on it, because an actual 1911 has that. And I know it's not, but it's always struck me as this fiddly, weak, flappy bit that and I know it doesn't have a whole lot of forces on it, but it's always struck me as a weak link, if you will.
No, that's a really good assessment. And it's really frustrating when you're having to disassemble or reassemble in the field your firearm. And I'll demonstrate in a little bit. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to really bring attention to some of the things that when we thought this through, we wanted to have a field-ready, serviceable firearm that's going to maintain optimally throughout, regardless of what your conditions are. So if you look here, we've got our patent and debris channels in our lugs. We've got it in a recoil guide. That's not uncommon, but we've also brought it into our frames, this big scoop out here. So I'll put it to the camera so y'all can see it. The concept behind this is without sacrificing fit, form, function, or precision, right? Now we've got debris channels that if you do get something into
What am I
your
doing
firearm,
wrong here?
you're not lined up yet.
Oh.
Hold on, I'll help you. So
There,
line up
right?
yeah, you got to line up your scoops.
It's just put together too tight.
No. Line up your scoops. Push it out. Pull it out. I like to use my thumb or my middle finger to pop it. Pop it out. There is redundancy built into pulling out the slide stop. We've done a little bit of extra scalps. If you leave your fingernails long, you can scrape it out. You don't, we do have a pinhole here. You can push it out with a pinhole, or you grab your knife, pull it out. But really,
Well, it was, like you said, I wasn't quite lined up in the scallop and the slide. You
Yeah,
got
no
some
worries.
really tight machining here, you
Right.
know? And it's, you know, I mean, that the guy who makes them can take them apart a little easier. It's
Fair.
shocking, right?
I mean, I've done it once or twice.
A couple of times. So you've got a lot of cuts on these slides and frames and whatnot that are not strictly necessary to get the gun running, but adds a fair amount of utility to the gun, as well as aesthetics here and there.
Absolutely.
And obviously, every single cut adds to machining time,
Yes.
and that affects price, but it also affects the end product. And every manufacturer always has to ride this line, decide where do I want to intersect, and it's clear that you're prioritizing quality and attention to detail.
Absolutely. We manufacture everything in Dayton, Nevada, in-house. Not only are we machining it, we're also bringing it in for assembly. Everything here is 100% USA manufactured. Everything we maintain very tight tolerances and everything, and as you can see behind this, we're not afraid to show that we own every item in here, and we've controlled every item so that we can get as close tolerance stacked as possible to have that optimal performing, tight, fit 1911 style double stack pistol, which we call it Oracle Arms 2311. So it's been a brainchild of mine for a little while, and seeing it in reality is just like, wow, it's been a surreal experience.
It has a fantastic trigger, as all 1911 should.
Thank you.
Ought to. I like the idea of using the 320 magazines. The overall execution is flawless. I love the way the guns feel in my hand. Right now, obviously 9mm because we're using 320 mags.
Yes.
Do you have any plans to add other calibers?
Not in the near future. I have designed it to be able to accommodate 40 caliber in the future, but beyond that, there really isn't a strong enough.
10mm.
I've heard 10mm a lot. That would require a substantial
See,
amount of
that guy
redesign.
looked when I said
I know,
10mm.
I know. That would be cool, but probably not anytime in the near future.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, so 10mm is a longer cartridge overall length. It's a lot easier to adapt a frame to the same coal as 9mm
Yes.
with the 40 than to go into an entirely different magazine envelope. The whole pistol has to be redesigned.
To go to
if you're doing
10mm,
it.
we would have to it would be a completely different firearm.
If you're doing it right.
Right.
I mean, some manufacturers might be like, well, stretch the frame a bit and, see if it works.
So, keep in mind, like the way that this is engineered. And if you notice, we don't have our grip safety. We have everything internal. You really start to change those grip angles. And I've had a lot of compliments on how this grip feels.
That's one of the first things that really struck me is
Right.
I can get nice and high on it.
Right.
I have, as you can see, really short daikini or pec fingers, and my fingers don't wrap fully around the frame because they're so short, but the frame feels good in my hand. I get high on it, and the reach to the trigger is just perfect.
I love hearing that. There was a lot of time and research put into creating this grip. It is still traditional 1911 angles with the proper flares here and there to accommodate as many hands as humanly possible.
And of course, that grip is a bit thicker in this dimension. I think it feels as though it's a little bit bigger because my fingers seem to get a little bit further around on this one. It's obviously this one's shorter.
It is actually width-wise, we're the same. We are a little bit thicker front to back to be able to give that more aggressive. This grip is going to be going into our competition line as well.
That's not a carry gun.
No. This is what we call our Combat Elite. That there is our compact.
Yeah. So this is the Combat.
Combat Elite.
Combat Elite. Obviously, there's an optics cut on here. There's is there an optics cut on all of them?
Yeah, so what we have is we have a proprietary plate. Instead of trying to choose one optic for our platform, we wanted to accommodate what we consider the primary. So every pistol comes with 4 different plates to run irons, RMSC, RMR, and Delta. Now, and the key here too is all of our optic plates are combat cut so that you'll co-witness with a tritium front sight.
And we've got built-in suppressor height rear sight here, right?
That's correct. Yep.
That's pretty slick. That it sits nice and low in the window. Mm-hmm. The irons sit nice and low in the window. They're not taking up a lot of the space, but there's enough of them there that I can drive to the dot pretty easy and not chase it.
That's the goal.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
There are a lot of cuts on the slide and frame that are not necessarily required to get the pistol to function. They're added because, like you're talking about, these recesses for debris. They're added to improve function, or in some cases, aesthetics. There's every cut that you guys make adds to manufacturing time and expense. And every maker has to choose between, do I want to prioritize cost or do I want to prioritize the experience for the end user? And obviously, and there isn't a right answer to that, but you guys are making the decision to prioritize performance and attention to detail, and that really shows in the
right answer. That is the correct answer, 100%. When we're designing these things, we're designing them for hard use end users and competition shooters. There is no sacrifice in quality, right? We want to make sure that what we're delivering is optimal performing and optimal machining every single time. And we put this big board on here because we are proud of our engineering, we are proud of everything that we have here, and we're showcasing it and letting the world know that Oracle 2311 is dialed in. One of the things, if you don't mind, was we were kind of talking earlier about the link and the weak link of a 1911.
Oh yeah. So like what you're talking about, if I may, and we'll kind of get in here a little bit on the B-roll, is that little flappy link that sits down there on a 1911 just kind of dangles. And once it's inside of that, it's hard. You always end up doing this thing where you kind of try to tilt it and you'll hold it up to the light and look that, well, I got to get the hole in the frame lined up with the link, which has nothing. It every time you tilt it, it falls different. And like you said, maybe you poke something in from the other side to try to keep it in place. But it's always, no matter what you do, it's a little.
It can
fiddly.
be a frustrating. It's called the 1911 link dance.
Right? Yeah.
So, long time 1911 fan. I love 1911, but that is one of the things that frustrates me. So I personally no longer want to do with that. What's nice is now with the Oracle 2311, right? It's always going to indicate. Your barrel's going to, because it's encapsulated upper, now everything is going to indicate properly onto your frame. You drop your left side slide slap in, and then you're ready to rock and roll. It's that simple to put.
You got a nice big hole to hit.
Yes.
There is, like I was saying, just an incredible degree of attention to detail, and it looks like you're getting a lot in each of these pistols. But the obligatory questions that shot are always, how much does it cost and when do I get it? So,
sure.
What am I paying for the amount that I'm getting?
Depends on which model.
Yeah. I was going to say there's going to be a lot of variation across the range, right?
We have 3 families: compact, which you're holding there, combat, and then competition. We don't have our competition line out here today, but we do have compact, combat, and then we have a combat elite. Within each family, there's our base models and then our elite model. So an elite, the biggest difference between, and I'll let you know, is that when we come out with competition, it'll look very similar to what the combat elite is, but slightly heavier, with the options of ported barrels, depending on which way you want to run your competition. Competition elite, that's coming soon, probably about the end of this year. Price points start at about $1,700 and go up to about $3,000.
$1,700 to $3,000 depending on the model.
Yes.
Awesome.
And we really make sure to bring, everyone comes in with this wonderful case and 3 to 5 mags depending on which one you grab.
That's legit. So many manufacturers ship with 1 or 2 mags, maybe 3. It's actually pretty uncommon to see a pistol ship with 3 mags. And
Our elite and our competition series are going to come with 5.
that's awesome. All right, so 1,700 to 3,000, depending on where it's laying in which product line and where it fits in that product line.
That's correct.
But what's available? When's it going to be available? How long do I have to wait? What kind of? And I know that there's a lot of give and take and bringing stuff to a product
start
or to a
releasing
market.
them to the public March, April this year, and then we'll have you'll start to see them in the dealer network probably by the middle of this year.
Middle of the year. Again, as always, things change. So don't nail us to the wall if what I said was wrong or what he said was
Right.
not coming out. But
Don't hunt me
we're
down.
you're hoping
But-
for middle of the year.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
I've been on that receiving end and waiting, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that to anyone else.
Yeah, who hasn't? Every year there's something that's really exciting that everybody wants, and there are, like I said, there are challenges to bringing a product to market. It's not like these manufacturers are like, hey, screw you guys, we don't want to sell you stuff.
No.
Thank you for putting up with all my crap and having
no
the
worries.
patience to explain things in words I can understand. Thank you guys for watching. Please support our sponsors. We couldn't do it without them. I love you.